Welcome back. You tuned into the Talking Point with me, your host Miriam Mia, and today being the 31st of August signals the end of Women's Month. Not the end of women. We are here forever. Uh, from time immemorial, and I mean, we'll make our voices known. Our protests will be well heard. Our protests is both at home, as well as out there. So, I mean, we will make our voices heard, but just the month of Women's Month, acknowledging females in every sphere of the kaleidoscope of South Africa, because for me, females have arrived. They're not breaking the proverbial glass ceiling, they've broken through and they're reaching further, I think, and they're not afraid to scale new heights. And today our focus is going to be on our female sports persons. Yes, all our female athletes. And for me, August has been a fantastic month for South African sport, especially females. Our females have arrived both on the local and international scene. And I'm joined by somebody who actually goes around documenting uh, the accolades, as well as making South Africa know what we females have been achieving everywhere in the sporting arena. So I have my guest today is Celine Abrams, and she is the content producer for GS Sport. And I am going to introduce who is GSP Sport, or what GSP Sport is all about. But she's also a sponsor account manager. And yes, let me first welcome her to the show. Good afternoon. Welcome, Celine. And you are our last guest on this Women Month here on Salam Media, because I'd like to acknowledge Salam Media and the male director and our male CEO for ensuring that women featured prominently in every segment across the board here on Salam Media. So thank you to our director Shamshir Khan and our CEO Ponti Malatsani for ensuring that you do justice to Women's Month. It was just not talk shop, but we had many, many discussions, that empowering discussions, so to speak. So I'd like to welcome Celine Abrams to the show. And Celine, you are part of a platform called GS Sports, and this is an NGO and an NPO as well. And GS Sports was founded in 2006 to fill the gap in information about South African women in sport. And recently, there was a function at the venue in Melrose Arch that was well attended, and this was to receive. This is because of on receiving exciting news about the Springbok woman on the 10th of August. And at the event, Kes Naidu spoke in terms of women's journeys and also leveling the playing field and the need to support females in their achievements. So please tell us more about GS Sport, and why do we think it's so important to support the journeys of female athletes?
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure, and to be your last guest for Women's Month. That really means a lot to us, as you know, just the G Sport initiative. So, back in 2006, yes, Cass Naidu, as we all know, is a cricket commentator. She decided that it was time that women in sport be recognized for what they are achieving, in the women in sports space. So she came up with G Sport for Girls, and since 2006 up to today, we are making sure that we are closing the gap when it comes to media, coverage on women's sports, and making sure that women who are not just athletes, but who are in broadcasting or in administration, leadership positions, anyway, when it comes to the sporting space, that they are given a platform just to share their stories, and that we get to know what they are achieving in their respective careers. So since then, we have been profiling women's sports. I mean, every single day, we make sure that on our G Sport newsroom, that our team is out there, that we get to tell as many stories as we can. And it's not just the known athletes or the who are big names when it comes to South African sport. We make sure that we also go to grassroots level and, shine the spotlight on athletes who don't really get the coverage. So our aim is literally just to make sure that we close the visibility gap in the media space.
Yes, and I mean, Cass is no stranger for entering a very male dominated environment. And I know when she first graced our screens, we had many, many comments going around like, what would a female possibly know about cricket? And she really, really held her own in terms of her knowledge of the game, in terms of her eloquence in broadcasting. And for me, she brought something different. I love people who bring something new and unique. And I mean, she led the way actually for female sports commentary, especially whether it comes to commentating on soccer, male soccer, male football, and many male orientated sports. She for me was a trailblazer and a groundbreaker in this because and she brought something unique. And then we had even the I remember the South African cricket team also. They looked to her in terms of the relationship they built. You could see it in the post-match interviews in terms of the newfound and profound respect they had seeing Cass as a professional in a field and not a female just trying to be there to fill numbers because just to be equitable in the workplace. So for me, a real trailblazer. And Cass says the landscape changed in 2006 with the launch of G Sport for Girls, an online initiated platform committed to daily coverage of women's sports to bridge the gap with the men's sports. And for me, that's what you'll always read in community newspapers about the accolades and achievements of females. But yet, if you look at daily sports reps, whether you're looking at it online or you're looking at it on the news channel, and that if you have to see the ratio between what is featured male dominated versus female dominated, for me, really it's not on par. There's a huge disfunk, and there's that ratio really is shocking in terms of this. And also what said is because our female athletes are actually, if you look at the month of August, had performed way better than the male athletes had done. I mean, if you look at most famous was Banyana's win at the Africa Cup of Nations. Then if I look at Caitlin Roascart, and I just want to put the focus a little bit and just give a shout out to Caitlin Roascart. Caitlin Roskas actually won bronze at she's an artistic gymnast who won bronze at Birmingham Commonwealth Games, and she said, "I feel so relieved to have won a medal for gymnastics on my favorite apparatus, the uneven bars." She was so unfair, and still speaking on her achievement, she says, "It's a wonderful feeling making history, winning a medal against three of the top nations in the world of gymnastics is not easy, but I'm very proud of myself and very grateful for my coaches and my teammates who supported me." So, I mean, this is really, for me, groundbreaking. And this shouldn't be a small headline in a community newspaper, but for me, it warrant a huge headline in one of the major newspapers or also one of the major online. For me, this was so groundbreaking because, yes, a South African winning a medal in a very, we know the UK, America, Russia, those countries are the top gymnast countries, and for her to come here, look,
Exactly.
Commonwealth, we don't have Russia and America, but you have UK, you have Australia, you have
Mm,
Scotland there taking part. And then also, it was a good win for golfer Ashley Bohai, who won the AGI Women's Open as well in Scotland. So for us, I mean, this is females making international headlines. And then also, we have a young, upcoming rock climber, Coco Senekal. She had a first really, she was placed as the top climbing junior boulder cup, and she won the Gauteng top rope cup. She said winning first place felt amazing. I never thought I was going to win, as it was my first time, and I was really nervous. So a novice then winning at a
mm,
major tournament, provincial tournament. So, I mean, the list goes on. You'd probably have more content than what I do in terms of what females have achieved this month here, both on
mm.
a local and international scale. So, why didn't we wear Soccer Friday for Banyana? Can you answer that question for me?
Exactly. That is my question also, because as everyone that you've mentioned so far, And as you spoke about, there's just like a small article in a community newspaper about their achievements. These are certain things. That's just the kind of, I could say, one of the aspects that G Sport is always trying to push is that all of these stories need to be told in mainstream media. We need to get those stories out into mainstream media. What we do as G Sport, whatever story that we have, we push it out, whether it is to Mail and Guardian, because we have a partnership with them. We make sure that what stories that we have, we'll send it to Mail and Guardian for them to push into mainstream media. We try by all means to get onto, your national radio stations to go and tell those stories, because as I always say, there's still so much that a women are doing, but we're not hearing their stories. There is that media gap that is still prevailed today, and it's been for so many years that has been, this major gap between women and men's sports. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it, to say sport is sport, but it's the truth. We do have a big gap when it comes to women's sport, and it's not treated the same as your male athletes. So yeah, just to answer your question, exactly, why aren't we making sure that every Friday we are wearing our banana t-shirts? To find a banana t-shirt was quite difficult when they came back from Morocco. That's a struggle that I found myself. So there's still those gaps that we need to close when it comes to women's sports, and making sure that we support our female athletes as much as possible. And that's the aim of us as G Sport, is to make sure that we push out as many stories as we can. And we're doing that through the Momentum G Sport Awards, where we are partnering with sponsors such as Momentum, Sasol, Telcom, Nielsen Sports South Africa, and just making sure that we bring the sponsors on board. And that's how we're trying to change the game, is to get the corporate support and to get movement sport out there to the public as much as possible.
When you were talking now, I was just thinking, why do we wear uh, Bafana t-shirts, we females? Said we need to purchase banana ones. So even if we're supporting Bafana, we must adorn our female t-shirts, soccer t-shirts, and not the male ones. So I don't know why. We're going to start a revolution today on Talking Point and Salam Media. Celine Abrams and Mariam Mia are starting a revolution that, please, everybody out there, purchase your banana t-shirt. We have the the Springbok woman. They have their
Mhm,
t-shirts there as well. We have the women's South African women's cricket team. So when we called upon to show solidarity and camaraderie and the chaos, please, females, wear your female version of it. They are there, and let's create a
mhm,
demand. Let's create a demand for
mhm,
uh, for these extra paraphernalia, whatever it is, the
mhm,
t-shirts, whatever. I think we as females have to, first of all, before getting our male counterparts to support this, we as females are there. It's females for females, sisters for sisters. We need
mhm,
to start the support. We need to create the demand that I'm not wearing a male t-shirt. Get me the female version, and they out there. They've been designed because we have we have a fully fledged Springbok
mhm.
team for rugby. We have a fully fledged soccer team. We have a fully fledged cricket team. I mean, we have a fully fledged female gymnastics team. So in every code of sports, I mean, you're the journalist, you're the content
Yeah.
producer. In every code of sports, do we have fully fledged female teams?
We do, and there's so much, as you mentioned. Our teams. We For every sporting code, there is a women's team. It's just that, as you said, we need to take that step as females and lead the way, like how G Sport led the way to tell women in sports stories. I mean, we're the only platform from 2006 that has been leading the way, telling women in sports stories. So we need to actually to say, let's not wait on anyone else, but take that lead on our own, and make sure that we support our women in sport. They deserve it. I mean, uh, just the past month has been so incredible for women in sport, and every single day it's the same thing. Women in sport are breaking barriers, they're smashing records across the globe, honestly. And it's about time that we open up the conversation and that we start shining the spotlight on them. So it takes one person to change, I think, to change the narrative. And as an initiative, that's what we're trying to do, is to change the narrative and make sure that our women are celebrated as much as possible.
So tell us a little bit more about the awards
Hmm.
and when it's happening.
Okay, so the Momentum G Sport Awards. So we are in partnership with Momentum, who are also partners of the Momentum Process Women's Cricket Team. So the awards is an extension of the G Sport initiative, and it takes place every year, where we gather at a glitzy event and we celebrate women in sport. And at the moment, we have 20 categories that whether it's a Momentum Athletes of the Year, Emerging Athletes of the Year. So each category celebrates women in sport, or actually also individuals who contribute to the advancement of women in sports. So it can also be men who are finalists in these categories. So this year, our awards have been moved to September because we had the Commonwealth Games now in August. So it had been moved to September. We normally have it in August because it's Women's Month, but it had to change this year. So just to make sure that we had the right candidates to be put up for the awards because of the Commonwealth Games. So we will be in 2 weeks' time, have the awards.
And where are the awards going to be televised, or where can we
Yes.
find? Are they going to be televised?
Yes, it'll be on Supersport because we have a partnership with Supersport as well.
Hmm.
This partnership started last year, actually. So we will have it on Supersport Live. We will obviously on G Sports social media and through public media releases. We will share the channel as well as the time and the date where you can watch it live on Supersport.
Okay, and from Salam Media's side, and from my commitment, we have a segment, Sport Talk, on Fridays, on Friday night with our hosts. Our producer is Salilo, and then we have our host Takir Dawood, who's also a young South African, very passionate about sports. But I'm going to hold him to it that whenever he has his show, he's going to dedicate some time to women in sport, and in his sport roundup feature women in sport there, because he's got Celine Abrams to feature it there. So we will amplify that female voice in sport. And I'm making a commitment to you from Salam Media side that we are going to then uh, provide a platform for women in sport. And let's see how that goes. So yes, so you got one media house now who's
Thank
made
you.
a
Thank you.
firm
It,
commitment.
it really makes a difference. As I said, it takes one person to change the game. So the more radio stations, the more media that we get to tell women in sports, it will really make a big difference.
Okay, and we wish you well. We've got a voice note from one of the finalists. So before I let you go, Celine, let us listen to one of the finalists there. A voice note from one of the finalists for uh, the awards, the G Sport Momentum G Sport Awards. And let me just see what's happening here.
On the
We seem
31st
to.
of August
Oh,
to give me the best chance to win on the Momentum G Sport Award stage.
Sorry, that wasn't. I apologize for the audio. It wasn't very clear. Celine, can you please? I think we missed out there. Who was this finalist? Can you just enlighten us?
Yes, sure. That was Momentum Athletes of the Year finalist Laura Panirkex. So Laura was one of the top performers at the Commonwealth Games. She won double gold in swimming, the 50
That's
meter
correct.
and
Right. Quite.
yes, and the 200-meter breaststroke final. So she has been incredible. Just looking at her career over the past few months, I mean, she missed out on the Olympics last year. She didn't qualify. She came back this year, her first time competing as a senior international swimmer. She broke records since her first time was in Monaco, I think. Yes, it was Monaco in May. And then she went on to Commonwealth Games where she got her double gold. So incredible performer, a really bright future ahead for her because she's just a young star. She's 19 years old. There's still a lot more that's going to come from her. So to see her being a finalist in two categories at this year's Momentum G Sport Awards, really proud of her and for her achievements. So that was Laura Panirkex on the voice note.
So, Celine, just tell us more about some of the finalists in other categories as well.
So also in the momentum athletes of the year, we have Michaela Whiteboy, who won gold, South Africa's first judo white gold at the Commonwealth Games. And then we have Hilda Magaya, who is Banyana's soccer player. She scored the brace in the final against Morocco. And we also have Coach of the Year, which is dominated by Banyana's
Mhm.
Desiree Ellis, as well as SA Gymnastics coach Elise Pelter Roots, and Eugene DePonte, who's actually Laura Panirkex coach. So those are just like one of the biggest categories. And then we also have Support of the Year, Volunteer of the Year. So we're not only looking at athletes and coaches, but we're also looking at those who are in communities and are playing their part, just to drive women's sports. So it's a very diverse, when you go from coaches to athletes to administrators, women in PR and sponsorship, special recognition to all those women who are paving the way, just to make sure that women in sport are recognized. So it's across the board and as well as social media. So everything is literally covered from all of our 20 categories.
And Celine, I thank you for being here, and we'd like to acknowledge G Sport for Girls for the amazing work you do to put our female athletes out there. So provide a platform for them and keep us trending, keep it relevant. And actually, yes, because I mean, we're achieving so much, but if we
Mm,
cannot amplify those achievements, really, you know what, it's also very
mm,
demotivating for the athletes that you're not to I mean to reach that level and reach for me a gold medal
mm.
or any medal signifies a journey. It's a
Exactly.
journey of dedication, long hours, hard work, sacrifice. I mean, you don't have no other life. It's a commitment.
Mm,
This is your goal. So for me, uh, standing up on a podium is actually a whole story. A book can be written about this, tracing it
yes.
back. So for me, it's a journey, and we need to tell those stories. We need to
Mm,
share those narratives, and we need to amplify those voices because really, uh, that's what makes it all the while worth it. Is when
mm,
somebody can acknowledge you and say thank you. You've done us proud. We feel proud as South Africans. You've brought some uh, happiness and something for us to be proud of amongst the doom and gloom.
exactly.
You showed us. You know what? For me, it's also we need mentors for our
Mm,
young South Africans. We need mentors, and these our mentors. These our role models. So
yes.
not
Yeah.
only amplifying their stories, but to show them against all the struggles. Because I know the Jamin Newlands where Caitlin is. I mean, she came out from a Jamin Newlands, and it took hours and hours and hours for her to reach there and be on that international platform. So it's from there
Exactly.
juggling between school, effort by parents, was love clubbing. So it all starts with that story.
Mm,
And these are the stories we need to know because this is going to motivate our young South Africans to say, you know what, we can do it. If you put your
yeah.
mind, in spite of all the challenges and all the difficulties, you have that capacity to make it happen
Mm,
and you have that capacity to reach international heights. So thank you for
yes.
being here on the show. And anything else in closing?
Just want to thank you so much for giving me this platform and for giving G Sport the platform as well. And thank you for the promise that you guys are going to speak about and add women's sport into your segments. That's really just it's great because, as I said, we need to get more voices to talk about women's sport and to profile our women in sport. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Go well, and hopefully we can connect with you in the future, and also provide a platform for all those female athletes that are making waves, both internationally and locally. It's been a pleasure, and from me, Mariam Mia, this was the talking point, and looking forward to connecting with you in the future as well, and wishing you all well for the start of spring. Doesn't look like spring outside, but hopefully the sun is going to shine,
Yeah.
and looking forward to revival, rebirth, and the excitement and the promise that spring brings. Peace and blessings to everybody. May you all be under the mercy and the protection of the Almighty.
When you called his name, but after he answered your